that the heart is a vital organ. The human heart is a pear-shaped structure about the size of a fist. The heart is an amazing organ. It is responsible for supplying the body with oxygenated blood. So, the heart is one of the most important organs in the entire human body. The heart pumps the blood, which carries all required material to different parts of our body. It also helps to remove the waste products from our body. Given the heart's task of supplying the body with blood each moment, it must be well taken care of. For this, we need to know how does it look like, how does it work, and how can we keep our heart healthy. So let us find out all about our heart.
Hello students, I welcome you all to today's lesson, which is about most important organ of our body. Why I am calling it most important? Because an essential requirement of most animals is the transport of materials from one part of the body to another. In one part of the body, they are either consumed or formed, from where they need to be transported to other parts of the body. Some unwanted material in the form of excretory products are produced by a particular organ in our body. Such material, being toxic, need to be thrown out of our body. For distributing required material and for removing unwanted material, our body needs some system. Not only we, other multicellular organisms also have well-developed transport and circulatory system to deliver oxygen and food to cells and remove carbon dioxide and metabolic waste from the cells. Our today's lesson is based on this type of system, which is known as human blood vascular system. Our body is made up of organs, bones, muscles, tissues, skin and blood vessels. The body's network of blood vessels, which carry blood to and from cells, is called the blood vascular system. The vascular system is also called as circulatory system or cardiovascular system. It is made up of the vessels that carry blood and lymph throughout the body. This cardiovascular or circulatory system transports food, hormones, metabolic waste and gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide to and from cells. All animals, apart from simple invertebrate groups, possess a blood vascular system. In vertebrates like us, it consists of a muscular heart which pumps blood through major blood vessels, that is, arteries into increasingly finer branches to capillaries, which are in intimate contact with tissues. This vascular system works hand in hand with other body systems because in addition to circulating blood and lymph throughout the body, the vascular system functions as an important component of other body systems such as respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system and urinary system, etc. ਵੈਸਕੂਲਰ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਇਸ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਪਾਰਟਸ ਦੀ ਸਹਾਇਤਾ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਕਲਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਰਟ ਤੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਪਰ ਵਿਸਤਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਦੇ ਲਰਨਿੰਗ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਿਵ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕਰ ਲਵਾਂ।
Learning objectives. Upon completion of this topic, learners will be able to define blood vascular system, list different parts of vascular system, describe the structure of human heart, discuss histology of human heart, explain working of human heart.
Students, as you know that our vascular system or circulatory system consists of different parts. So let us know about these parts first.
Parts of vascular system. Parts of the circulatory system include blood. Blood is bright red colored vascular connective tissue that circulates in entire body. Blood consists of cells embedded in liquid part called plasma. These cells include red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Second main part of vascular system is blood vessels. Vascular system is made up of the vessels that carry our blood. These vessels of the blood circulatory system are arteries. These are blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood away from the heart to the body. Veins. These blood vessels carry deoxygenated blood from the body back into the heart. Capillaries. These are tiny blood vessels between arteries and veins that distribute oxygen-rich blood to the tissues of the body. Third major part of vascular system is heart. Heart is really nothing more than a pump composed of muscles which pumps blood throughout the body. The heart pumps the blood which carries all the vital materials which help our bodies to function and removes the waste products that we do not need.
ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀਓ, ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੈਸਕੂਲਰ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੇ 3 ਮੁੱਖ ਪਾਰਟ ਸਨ। ਪਰ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀਓ, ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕੋ ਮੇਜਰ ਪਾਰਟ ਤੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਹਾਰਟ ਹੈ। ਹਾਰਟ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਸਮੁੱਚੇ ਅੰਗਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਹੈ। ਹਾਰਟ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਪੰਪ ਕਰਨ ਤੇ ਬਲੱਡ ਸਰਕੂਲੇਟਰੀ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਮੂਵ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। The heart is made up of special type of muscles known as cardiac muscles. The heart is a muscular organ located just to the left of the breastbone, that is sternum. It is about the size of your fist, and this amazing muscle pumps 4,300 gallons of blood a day. The average human heart beating at 72 beats per minute and will beat approximately 2.5 billion times during an average 66-year lifespan. It weighs on average 250 grams to 300 grams in females and 300 grams to 350 grams in males. Your heart is actually shaped more like a upside-down pear. The human heart is primarily a shell. There are cavities or open spaces inside the heart that get filled with blood. Now let us discuss all these structures in detail.
Structure of heart. The heart is located between the lungs in middle of the thoracic cavity. The heart is a muscular cone-shaped organ. It is a thick, muscular, reddish-brown organ of human body. Its broader side is called base, and it is forward and upward, while the pointed side called apex is backward and downward. It is 9 centimeters broad and 12 centimeters long. Our heart has some protective coverings which protect the heart. Let us discuss about these coverings. Protective covering. The heart is enclosed in a tough, 2-layered sac called pericardium. The outer part of this sac is called the parietal pericardium. The inner pericardium is known as visceral pericardium, as shown here in the visual. The 2 layers have between them a very narrow space, the pericardial cavity, filled with a watery coelomic fluid called pericardial fluid. The pericardial fluid keeps the heart moist and prevents friction between the heart wall and the surrounding tissues during the heartbeat.
Students, this fluid performs two functions. It allows frictionless movement of the heart and it protects the heart from mechanical shocks. The structure of the heart varies among the different organisms of the animal kingdom. In humans, the heart is a four-chambered muscular organ. Now let us discuss the external structure of human heart.
External structure of heart. The human heart is four-chambered. The two upper chambers are called the atria or the auricles, and the lower two chambers are called the ventricles. The two atria are separated by the interarterial septum. The two ventricles are separated from each other by the interventricular septum. The ventricles have more muscular walls than the auricles. Let us study about auricles and ventricles in detail. Auricles. The auricles form a small upper part of the heart. The two auricles are named as right auricle and left auricle. Both the auricles have very thin walls because they have to push the blood only into the ventricles. A groove is present externally between the auricles and the ventricles called coronary sulcus. Ventricles. The ventricles form a large lower part of the heart. The ventricles also have two grooves externally present on them called anterior interventricular sulcus and posterior interventricular sulcus. These sulci receive coronary arteries through which the heart receives the blood.
This was the external structure of the heart. The human heart is primarily a shell. There are four cavities or open spaces inside the heart that are filled with blood. So now, we will discuss the internal structure of the heart.
Internal structure of heart. The internal cavity of the heart is divided into four chambers: right auricle, left auricle, right ventricle, left ventricle. Let us discuss these all parts one by one. Let us start with right auricle. The right atrium or auricle is larger than the left auricle but has thinner walls. The right atrium has two major veins that return blood to the heart from all parts of the body. Two major veins returning the blood to the heart are the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. These two veins are also called the great veins. The superior vena cava returns the deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body, and the inferior vena cava returns the deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body. The right auricle opens into the right ventricle through a wide passage known as right auriculoventricular or AV aperture. This aperture is guarded by one-way valve called the tricuspid valve, which is a three-leaf valve. Their free lower edges are fixed to the papillary muscles of the right ventricle by a number of tough white cords called as chordae tendinae. These check the pushing of the flaps into the auricle during the contraction of the ventricle. An oval depression is present on the interarterial septum called fossa ovalis. It is actually the remnant of foramen ovale, which is an opening in the interatrial septum of the fetal heart, which closes at the time of birth. Left auricle. The left auricle receives blood from 4 pulmonary veins. The pulmonary veins carry the oxygenated blood from lungs back to the left atrium in the heart. The oxygenated blood that is collected in left atrium is then pumped into the left ventricle through the bicuspid or mitral valve. It has 2 cusps or flaps and hence the name bicuspid. The left auricle opens into the left ventricle by a large passage known as left auriculoventricular or AV aperture. Right ventricle. The right ventricle receives the blood from the right atrium. From its upper left corner, right ventricle gives off a large blood vessel called the pulmonary arc or pulmonary aorta. When the heart contracts, the blood is forced out through the pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary semilunar valve is a 3-flap valve that stops the backflow of blood. The walls of the left ventricle are a little thicker than the right ventricle.
Students, if we talk about left ventricle, its chambers have walls that are 3 times the thickness of the right ventricle. This is important because the oxygenated blood that it receives from the left atrium has to be pumped throughout the body. The bicuspid valve closes and the blood is collected in the left ventricle. The closing of the bicuspid valve stops the backflow of blood. The left ventricle opens into a major artery called systemic aorta. It has 3 regions: ascending aorta, arch of aorta, and descending aorta. The junction between the aorta and the left ventricle is also guarded by semilunar valve that prevents backflow of blood from the aorta into the ventricle. Here, a ligament called as ligamentum arteriosum connects the pulmonary aorta with the systemic aorta. So, विद्यार्थियों, ऐसी हार्ट दी ਬਣਤਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਹਾਰਟ ਵਿੱਚ 3 ਲੇਅਰਸ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਆਓ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਲੇਅਰਸ ਤੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰੀਏ।
Histology. The wall of the heart has 3 layers: epicardium, myocardium, endocardium. Let us discuss these one by one. Epicardium. It corresponds to the visceral pericardium. The epicardium is a thin outer layer which gives the surface of the heart a smooth, slippery texture. Myocardium. The myocardium makes up the bulk of the heart and is responsible for its pumping action. The myocardium is made up of strong cardiac muscle fibers which are connected by electrical synapses which allow muscle action potentials to spread from fiber to fiber. Endocardium. The endocardium is the smooth inner lining of the heart and is continuous with the large blood vessels to which the heart connects. It lines all of the heart chambers and covers heart walls.
ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀਓ, ਹਾਰਟ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਖ ਕੰਮ ਲਹੂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਕੂਲੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਾਰਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਅੰਗ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੀ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਤੋਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਅੰਗਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਕਸੀਜਨ ਅਤੇ ਨਿਊਟ੍ਰੀਐਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਸਪਲਾਈ ਲਹੂ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਕੂਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਪੰਪ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। As you know that the heart has 2 separate pumps that continuously sends blood throughout the body, carrying nutrients, oxygen and helping remove harmful waste. The right side of the heart receives blood which is low in oxygen. The left side of the heart receives blood that has been oxygenated by the lungs. The blood from left side is then pumped out into the aorta and to all parts of the body. The cycle that we will discuss now will give us a better understanding of the heart structure and how the blood circulates throughout the heart. So without wasting much time, let us quickly check out the working of the heart.
Working of heart. It is known as cardiac cycle. The function of the heart is to pump blood into the blood vessels to ensure that blood reaches all the parts of the body. This is done by the contraction and relaxation of the chambers of the heart. Contraction is called systole and relaxation is called diastole. The pumping action of heart takes place in a rhythmic pattern. It consists of 3 stages: auricular systole or ventricular diastole, auricular diastole or ventricular systole, joint diastole or auricular and ventricular diastole, auricular systole or ventricular diastole. In the first stage, the auricles or the atria contract with enough pressure to squeeze out all the blood from their cavities into the corresponding ventricles. During this time, the openings from the vena cavae in the right auricle and opening of the pulmonary vein in the left auricle remain closed because of the contraction of the auricles. The semilunar valves guarding the opening of the arteries are also closed. The auriculo-ventricular valves remain open, letting blood flow under pressure from the auricles to the ventricles. During this stage, auricles contract and ventricles remain relaxed. This stage is therefore called auricular systole or ventricular diastole. Auricular diastole or ventricular systole. In the second stage, the auricles relax, that is, diastole takes place. Just as they relax, the flaps of the auriculo-ventricular valves snap close. This makes the first heartbeat called lub sounds. Once the auriculo-ventricular valves are closed, the ventricles contract, that is, systole. The semilunar valves open as the blood rushes into the arteries from the ventricles. Joint diastole or auricular and ventricular diastole. In the last stage, the ventricles start to relax, that is, diastole happens. This gradually brings down the pressure and at the same time the semilunar valves snap shut to prevent backflow of blood into the heart as the pressure has come down. This produces the second heartbeat sound called dup. With the closure of the semilunar valves, the ventricles relax further and the auriculo-ventricular valves open. Thus, at this stage, both auricles and ventricles are in diastole and hence the stage is called joint diastole.
Students, the occurrence of the periodic series of events during one heartbeat is called a cardiac cycle. During one heartbeat, there are 2 heart sounds, lub and dup. Lub is the first sound and dub is the second sound. So we conclude this topic by saying that heart is a large muscular organ that works tirelessly each minute of the day, 365 days a year. Main function of the heart is to transport oxygen-rich blood to the body and transport oxygen-poor blood to the lungs from the body. Heart circulates the body's blood supply about 1,000 times a day. For this, heart relies on gravity to pump the blood, but it must also push the blood to the brain and other parts of the body. So students, this was all about blood vascular system and more precisely about heart. Now let us summarize what have we learned today. The body's network of blood vessels which carry blood to and from cells is called the blood vascular system. The vascular system is called as circulatory system or cardiovascular system. Components of the circulatory system include blood, blood vessels and heart. Students, you very well know that the heart is located between the lungs in the thoracic cavity. This heart is a muscular cone-shaped organ. It is reddish-brown organ of the human body. The human heart is four-chambered. The two upper chambers are called atria or auricles and the lower two chambers are called the ventricles. The wall of the heart has three layers: epicardium, myocardium and endocardium. Working of heart is known as cardiac cycle. It consists of three stages: auricular systole or ventricular diastole, auricular diastole or ventricular systole, joint diastole or auricular and ventricular diastole. Contraction of heart is called systole and relaxation is called diastole. Main function of the heart is to transport oxygen-rich blood to the body and transport oxygen-poor blood to the lungs from the body. Heart circulates the body's blood supply about 1,000 times a day. For this, heart relies on gravity to pump the blood, but it must also push the blood to the brain and other parts of the body. Students, I think it is enough for today. Now let's quickly check your knowledge with some short question what you have grabbed today. Be attentive. Here are some questions. My first question to you all is, define blood vascular system. Well, the answer is, the body's network of blood vessels which carry blood to and from cells is called the blood vascular system. Now the next question is, name the different types of blood vessels of circulatory system and also highlight their function. Answer: vascular system is made up of vessels that carry our blood. These vessels of the blood circulatory system are arteries. These are blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood away from the heart to the body. Veins. These blood vessels carry deoxygenated blood from the body back into the heart. Capillaries. These are tiny blood vessels between arteries and veins that distribute oxygen-rich blood to the body. Now another question is, list the important functions of pericardial fluid. Answer: functions of the pericardial fluid is, it allows frictionless movements of the heart and it protects the heart from mechanical shocks. Now the other question is, name two major veins which return the blood to the heart. What are their main functions? The answer is, two major veins returning the blood to the heart are the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The superior vena cava returns the deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body and the inferior vena cava returns the deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body. Well, the next question is, what is bicuspid valve? Well, the answer is, the oxygenated blood that is collected in left atrium is pumped into the left ventricle through the bicuspid or mitral valve. It has two cusps or flaps and hence the name bicuspid. The next question is, what is the function of pulmonary veins? Well, the correct answer is, the pulmonary veins carry the oxygenated blood from lungs back to the left atrium in the heart. And now another question is, name the three layers of heart. And the answer is, the wall of the heart has three layers: epicardium, myocardium and endocardium. And now the next question, name the three stages of cardiac cycle. Answer, cardiac cycle consists of three stages: auricular systole or ventricular diastole, auricular diastole or ventricular systole, joint diastole or auricular and ventricular diastole. Hope I have made a successful attempt to clear all your concepts regarding blood vascular system and heart, which will help you in fetching good marks in the exam. Thanks for your cooperation and attention. Looking forward to the next class. See you.